welcome to Tier 2 of the ChessBase India Solving Championship. We hope that you enjoyed Tier 1, and even if you didn't take part, we would hope that you took part in Tier 2 of this, since this is going to be just as exciting. So this tier is mainly about the fairy chess aspect, and though you may think that Tier 1 was also unorthodox, well, this is even more. There are upside down knights, queens, and in this video you'll have a introduction to what they are so that you have easier time solving the problem. So Satanick, let's start.
Yeah, let's start. And once again, welcome to ChessBase India YouTube. To you, Anirudh.
Thank you. So the problem in front of us is first of all a proof game in 4.0. So this is of course a sample problem, and we'll be showing all of the 3 different sample problems, and at the end we'll also be showing one of the 6 problems which we're going to publish, which is a path enumeration problem, so that if you have any doubts about that, we can clear it. So proof game in 4.0. Satanick, you want to explain what a proof game is?
Yeah, proof game in X moves means that both sides has to play X moves and arrive at the position given.
Yeah.
So this one is proof game in exactly 4, which means which has a very specific connotation, which means that this can be achieved in less than 4 moves, but there is a unique solution to achieve this in exactly 4 moves.
Yeah, and so
usually proof games usually is synonymous to shortest proof games. Usually, if it is proof game in X moves, then usually X is the shortest number of moves in which you can arrive at that position. But this one is an exception. Here there is a shorter solution, but the one in 4 moves is unique and is the interesting solution to find.
Yep, exactly. And so, like Satanick already mentioned, this is 4 moves. So from the initial game array, we're going to play white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, and after which we'll reach this position. So 4 moves by white and 4 moves by black. So let's...
And this is help play. There is no threats. I mean, you don't have to make logical moves. You have to just make legal moves to arrive at this position. That is...
Yeah. So your task is just
so let's
get this position.
Exactly. So let's give our audience a few seconds to pause this video and think about this position. It's a very famous proof game, actually. Yeah. So, okay. So let's now have a look at the solution. Anirudh?
Yeah. So here, white plays e4 in the starting position. Black plays e6. White plays bishop to b5. Black plays king to e7. White plays bishop into d7. Black plays c6. White plays bishop e8. And black, his last move, plays king into e8, reaching the desired position. And this is super famous as well, because black actually does a switchback, which is known, that the king moves up once and then comes back to its original position. And this is kind of paradoxical to think about, because at the start you would not be thinking that this king has to do all of the moving.
Yeah, and has to move twice because it's just a waste of tempo.
Yeah, exactly.
And this can be done in 3 moves. For example, there is a very easy solution, e4. If you go back.
Yeah.
E4, c6.
C6.
Bishop b5. Yeah, c6 or e6. E6, and then you just take on c6 and you reach the given position, but this is in 3 moves, so this is not the solution. The solution is in 4 moves, and that is unique, and that is the interesting solution to look at.
Yeah, and so whatever we give as the proof game in X number of moves, you need to reach that position in those moves specifically, not more, not less, but precisely that. And just an
and also one important...
Yeah, is that...
Yeah, an important... Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, is that if there's written 0.5, so for instance it's x.5 move, that means that white has just played it. For instance, if it says PG in 6.5, it means that white has played his 7th move, after which you reach the position. So white plays 7 moves and black plays 6 moves. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and the important point is that the solution is not only unique, but also transposition free. You can't even change the move orders. So that is also a big hint when you are solving. If you see that a particular line has transpositions, then you know that it is not the solution.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the proof game section. You want to move to the fairies now?
Yeah, now the fairies. And this is the interesting part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
Upside
first
down
upside
knight.
down
What?
piece.
Yeah. What is that? What
So,
the heck is that?
yeah, that is a knight rider. So, as the name suggests, it's basically a knight except it rides on knight squares. So, for instance, this knight rider on c7 can move to b5, move to d5, can move to a6, can move to a8, move to e6, move to e8 like a normal knight.
Just like a knight.
Except knight can also move to a3. So it can hop on knight squares to any number of knight moves which are possible. So d5, e3, f1. And same thing e6, g5. And so it's important that it moves on knight's lines in the same direction. It can't go like, oh, d5 then b4. In the same direction.
It has to be linear. It has to be linear.
Exactly. So this is a series helpmate in 4 with 2 solutions. And as you may all recall, a series helpmate is that black plays 4 moves in a row, after which white has a checkmate in 1.
So let's ask our audiences to pause the video right here if you want to think about it. Okay, so now let's delve into the solution.
Yeah, and so the first solution is of course promoting to a simple knight. That's g1 knight. And so now what happens is that this knight goes to f3, goes to e5, goes to d7. He has played 4 moves, so g1 knight, knight f3, knight e5, and knight d7, after which white has a checkmate, that is knight d6 mate.
A beautiful checkmate with 2 knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple enough.
But now comes the interesting part. There's another solution to this, and that is the promotion to a knight rider. And so you may be wondering, oh, well, why can't this knight rider also just go back to d7 like his counterpart did? Well, this is not possible because now this is a check to the king, since, you know, the knight rider is also attacking the king on h5, since it can go to f6 and h5, which the knight couldn't previously do. And therefore, he has to figure out a different method to get to the mating position. And that is to go knight to f3, knight rider to f3, knight rider to h4, and finally knight rider to b7.
To
so
b7.
He utilizes its strength and goes to f5, d6, b7 in 1 move, after which white has a checkmate, knight to b6.
Yeah, an echo mate. The mate is similar, but just translated one line to the left.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And one important thing is that knight riders are abbreviated with N, with a simple N. And for knights, we reserve the letter S. Yeah, so we denote knights as S. Yeah. In German, knights are known as Springer. So we use the letter S for knights and N for knight riders.
Exactly. Okay, next position, Satanick?
Yeah, and next position, next fairy.
And that's an upside down queen. So Satanick, what is that?
Yeah, it's a grasshopper. And how does a grasshopper move? It is somewhat like how a rook moves in a castle. So a grasshopper just moves linearly like a queen, but crosses over a hurdle just by 1 square. So this particular grasshopper on f6, it cannot come to f1 because there is no hurdle on the f line. Yeah. But it can go to b6 by crossing over the hurdle c6. So it crosses over the hurdle c6 and goes to b6. So it moves on queen's line and crosses over the hurdle by 1 square. That is how it moves. Yeah. So on b6, it is important to note that on b6, it is not checking the king.
Correct, because of course this grasshopper has to hop over a hurdle to give mate as well. So that's why if the king was the hurdle, well, then there's no piece outside of the board. So that's not, of course, a check. And it's important to note that after a hurdle, it can land only on the first square after it. So for instance, let's say black plays knight to f4, after which white can't actually play gf3, gf2, or gf1. He can only go grasshopper f3, 1 square after the hurdle. And so this is a helpmate in 2. And so black plays knight d6, who the grasshopper takes on c6, and now the knight comes back to b7, and grasshopper goes to a8.
And that's a checkmate, because there is a hurdle on a6, and the grasshopper is checking the black king, and the black king doesn't have any squares.
Yep, exactly. And so we've showed you the first solution. So pause the video and try to figure out what the second solution will be.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, and so the second solution starts out with knight to e5. Now this grasshopper can go to d4, and now this knight comes back to d3, after which the grasshopper goes to d2, and that is checkmate.
So checkmate.
Again, we can see a linking theme between the two solutions, which is normally evident in all helpmates if there are two solutions. That is, this knight goes to d6, comes back. Or this knight goes to e5, comes back, also known as a switchback.
That's the theme of the problem.
Yeah, so that's it for the 3 sample problems. Do you want to move on to the path enumeration one?
Yes, I do want to explain that problem, because that is one of the highlight problems of this particular tire. So this is the position that was arrived at from the initial game array, only by one side. There is no black pieces here. So the pieces were in their initial position, and they moved. In how many moves?
17.
In how many? 17.
19.
19, okay. So the white pieces took 19 moves to arrive at this position. And you have to find how many solutions are there to this particular problem. So there are many ways. In many ways, you can arrive at this position in 19 moves. And you have to count how many ways are there. And of course, it's not a problem of brute force. You don't have to count, like you have to you find out each solution and then keep counting one by one. It is not like that. There is an elegant way to count how many solutions are there to it. And that is the reason why we have selected it.
Yeah, and so your task is to figure out the exact number of solutions and write to us the reasoning / mathematics behind it.
Yeah. So if you arrive at a number, let's say x, then you have to reason how did you come to that number. You cannot just write that there are x many solutions.
Yeah.
So some mathematics, some permutation combination is needed. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it for tier 2. And after we get all the solutions, and we will publish the results, and let's see who becomes the winner and who takes the top 3 places.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
Exactly. I think this is going to be a fun event, and we hope that we can gather more individuals who are going to be interested in chess composition and solving.
Yes, and that is the point. That is the reason why you are organizing.
Yeah. So, thank you, and we hope you enjoyed the ChessBase India Winter Solving Championship. Good luck for Tier 2.
Happy solving.